Greetings folks, and I hope there are no mass sponge migrations wherever you are in collecting land. And welcome back to the channel for another episode of Grail or Fail. For the uninitiated, Grail or Fail is where we revisit 1/6 scale action figures widely considered to be classics and find out if they're still deserving of that Grail status today. So, with the imminent release of Star Ace's take on the Afterlife Exterminators, and a reissue of the originals on the horizon, today it's the turn of Blitzway's take on those icons of the 80s. It's Egon, Ray, Winston, and Peter, aka the Ghostbusters. Usual format, folks. Up close with the Ghostbusters themselves, then we'll be going in for a final verdict and wrapping the whole thing up with a showcase at the end. But before we dive in, I'd like to send a Marshmallow Man-sized shout out to everyone who supported the channel. And please drop a like on this video as it helps other people find the channel. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon so you don't miss any of the 1/6 scale news, views and reviews that we've got coming up. But enough of my ramblings, let's dive in and find out if the years have been kind to everyone's favourite spectral specialists and if they're still deserving of that Grail status today. Okay folks, let's get up close and personal with the Ghostbusters, and I've got to say, for 8-year-old figures, I think these are holding up remarkably well. Well, I don't think they're holding up, I think they actually really are on a par with modern figures. I think the proportions are on point, those outfits are amazing, the screen accuracy is there, all the usual stuff, but we'll take a close-up look. We'll start with Ray Stans, aka Dan Aykroyd. But before we do, actually, it's worth mentioning that although all these figures are freestanding, they do come with bases. I shall bring one into shot. We've got one over here. Now, as regulars to the channel will know, I am not a huge fan of these Blitzway bases. This whole sort of pole affair and waist grabber thing and then having to attach them inside the base is a bit of a ball ache in my opinion. But they're included if you want to use them, and they are quite stable on their pins without them, but yeah, you don't want them risk them falling over, not with all the intricate detail that's going on with the proton packs and stuff. But yeah, you've got that embossed Ghostbusters symbol in the middle there, and then the usual strange arrangement with these poles. We'll get this out of shot, but yeah, we will start with Ray. Let's have an up close with Ray. And I've got to say, screen accuracy, I've already mentioned it, it is 100% on point, but it's the level of detailing here that Blitzway have packed into these figures that really makes them outstanding. From those coveralls, which are screen accurate, the colours right, the weathering is on point, the stitch work very good indeed. Moving up to the all the accessories that are attached here, and the detailing on that belt with it's got metal carabiners on there, there's that plastic removable walkie-talkie, there's pipes and all kinds of stuff going on. Sculpt on the gloves is really great. You've got those those elbow pads, you've got that detailing, that Ghostbusters symbol on the bicep area. You've got the name patch sewn in, not stuck on, which is nice to see. Zipped down the front there. We'll take a look at the proton pack on the back of of Pete actually, because there's so much going on with this one. Don't want to move him around too much. But yeah, on the top here you've got the goggles, and the level of detailing on those goggles is absolutely phenomenal. The paint applications, just down to the tiniest little detail, and Blitzway have really gone to town on the details here. Probably worth mentioning at this point as well, the rest of the accessories. Now, you get a raft of accessories, and I'm just going to reach over here just so you can see the kind of stuff that you get. Now, they come complete with traps. Is that trap that Ray's holding there, and the goggles, they're exclusive to his figure. You get proton packs with all of them, obviously. With Egon, you get the PKE meter that he's holding. And you also get a raft of other bits and pieces as well. I mean, these are still in the packet here because I don't use them in the display, but you get newspapers, and there's Time Life magazine, and there's stickers and all kinds of stuff going on. Probably in the background you've noticed there as well, and I think this is, I don't know if it's a deluxe edition or an exclusive edition. It comes complete with that barricade, that police barricade, which comes in pieces there that you have to build. It's plastic but painted to look like wood and sculpted to look like wood, and a great addition to the display if you're wanting to use it, although a little bit on the large side. You also get as well, and I'm going to reach right over here so you have a close-up with Pete while I'm reaching over. You get this little beauty as well. You get the Ghostbusters symbol. Now, this is really nicely done. It's all made out of plastic, battery operated, to stick some batteries in there and the whole thing will light up. So if you've got space in the display, this will really bring it to life. Also worth mentioning at this point, there is a full unboxing and review of these figures on the channel. I will put a link to that at the end of this video. So you can check that out if you're wanting to look at some more of the details here. But we'll have a quick look at the head sculpt on Ray, and I've got to admit the likeness here to Dan Aykroyd, even 8 years down the line, absolutely stunning. I think it's phenomenal. They're not all of the same high standard in my opinion. I think one is weaker than the rest, but we'll get to that. But I think, yeah, the hairstyle there, the shape of the face, the paint applications for those skin tones, beautifully glassy eyes, unmistakably Dan Aykroyd, unmistakably Ray Stantz, and just phenomenal work here from Blitzway. We'll take a look at Mr. Venkman. Now, same story here with the outfit, those coveralls with all the detailing on the belt section there, those carabiners and pipes and removable walkie-talkie. We'll take a look around the back actually, but before we do, we'll have a look at the head sculpt here. And probably worth mentioning this wand as well. The wands themselves, fantastically detailed, great weathering, great paint applications. Some great sculpting on there, real wires going on, as with the Proton Pack. And I would say, if you are thinking of picking these up, and maybe the new versions as well, exercise caution, because there are some exceptionally delicate bits and pieces, particularly on the one and on the Proton Pack. But let's have a look at the Pete Venkman head sculpt. Now, I think this is the weakest of the three, in my opinion, which is, that's not to say it's not very, very good indeed. It is unmistakably Bill Murray, from that hairstyle, which is really well done, to the skin tones, paint applications, nice glassy eyes, as with the Dan Aykroyd figure. I think just the likeness is ever so slightly off here. It's not as good as the other three. But that's just my opinion. I still think it's very, very good indeed. And as I say, unmistakably Bill Murray there. Let's actually flip him round so we can take a look at some of the details here. Now, on those on the belt, as I mentioned there, you've got all kinds of stuff going on. These circuit boards and there's pipes. You've got the frame for the Proton Pack itself. There's wires going on in here. The attention to detail, as I say, is just next level stuff here. Those warning signs that are readable, the wires going all over the place, but it is super delicate, as I mentioned, with all these pipes and all these wires. I would exercise caution with this. You don't want to damage this Proton Pack. And around the back of the pack, there is a battery compartment. You plug that battery compartment in, and the whole thing will light up where those two red dots are there. And if he will stay stood up, which I think he might, I think he's going to oblige us to stay stood up, I will bring in the wands. Now, each of the figures comes with its own wand, and collectors will recognise this kind of the plastic that has been used here, if the camera will focus. It's the same stuff that you see on Hot Toys Thor's figures and stuff like that. I think it's, well, I don't want to call it a resin, but not 100% certain what it's made out of, but it is super detailed, this the proton emission from the wand itself. You've got yellows in there, blues in there, reds and purples. Fantastic, really beautiful sculpting on paint application. Well, it's not paint applications, it's actually the nature of how they've coloured the material itself. But yeah, it slots into the end of the wand, and when you activate that light up feature, this lights up as well. I don't use the light up feature in the display. I've tried it when I first got it. It's good. It's not super impressive. I think if it was being remade today, and it would be nice to see if Blitzway do this, if they could increase the power of the LEDs and maybe get that light diffusion a little bit better. But overall, it's there if you're wanting to use it. And this, when you attach this to the wand for all 4 figures, you are going to need some serious acreage to actually display the figures themselves, because they add a lot of distance on them. But back to that proton pack, and yeah, I just love it. I think it's phenomenal. You can also see the back of Pete's head there, and you can see the level of sculpting going on and paint application in that hair. Perhaps not quite as HD as we'd see today, but that's a minor gripe. So let's move Pete out of the way so we can take a look at Egon. I hope he's going to stand up on there on his own without toppling over. Now, I'm going to go straight in with the head sculpt on Egon, because I think this is absolutely amazing. I really do. I think that is a phenomenal head sculpt. The likeness to Harold Ramis there is just unmistakable from any angle. There isn't an angle there where that isn't Egon. The sculpt itself, absolutely nailed on. The detailing, the skin coloration, just absolutely 100%. And the proportions as well. I think I mentioned this at the top, but I don't think they've used the same body for each of these figures. Now, obviously he's got his legs slightly splayed there, but when you level them up against each other, Egon's slightly taller, as is Winston. With Pete and Ray just being ever so slightly shorter, and there looks like there's different proportions going on in the bodies as well. So I suspect what Blitzway here have done, don't quote me on this, but I think they've used individual bodies rather than just using one standard body. But yeah, I love that head sculpt of Harold Ramis. That hair, the hairstyle, absolutely nailed on. And once again, that same level of detailing in the outfit. With the weathering on there, and the weathering is worth a mention here as well, because the weathering on all the coveralls is just right. It's not too much, not too little, but it's there, so done really, really well. So on to Winston Zedmore, Ernie Hudson. He's clutching the wand as well. Once again, all the same accessories going on in there with the walkie-talkie and all the other bits and pieces. He's got the cigarette sticking out of his mouth. Now the head sculpt here I think is very, very good. I think they've done a cracking job here, Blitzway. They've most certainly captured the likeness of Ernie Hudson. I think my only complaint on this head sculpt is the paint applications. I think they're a little bit too dark, so hopefully Blitzway will rectify that with the release of their 2.0 version of these figures. And I believe that all the heads have been resculpted for the 2.0 release, and I've heard on the grapevine that there are 2 swap out head sculpts as well. There's one for Ray and one for Pete, and both of them are mouth open with cigarettes stuck to their bottom lips. But yeah, perhaps that's the only complaint I've got about the Ernie Hudson figure there, is that skin tone not being quite right. Yeah, there you have it, folks. That's the Ghostbusters, and Pete's got his back to us. So I'm just going to change hands here so I can flip him back round, and probably worth an honourable mention at this point as well. Now, as I mentioned at the top there, this is the deluxe, I believe. Well, I don't know whether it's deluxe or whether it's the bonus edition, whatever you want to call it. But it also comes with, and I'm going to reach over here as well. A lot of reaching going on in this one. Let's bring in the little guy himself. You also get Slimer, Mrs. Go Figure's favourite character in the collection and in the display, and I think this is done really, really well. It's sort of this translucent resin. The sculpt is absolutely on point. That face, that mouth, it's superb work. It really is. Just everything is absolutely nailed on with this, and it's got this lovely stand as well to go with it. So yeah, you also get Slimer. What more could you want? Ghostbusters heaven. So there you have it, folks. That's the gang. That's the Ghostbusters. So it's time to go in for final thoughts. Are we looking at Grails or are we looking at Fail? So it's verdict time on Blitzway's Ghostbusters, folks. And I think you know where this is going. 100% Grail, absolutely nailed on. Even though they're from 2017, by today's standards, I think these things hold up as an amazing collection of figures, and 100% a Grail. Not without their niggles, might I add. There's a few in there. That Peter Venkman head sculpt, not quite as good as I think it could be better. The paint job on the Winston head sculpt is a little bit too dark, but apart from that, these are minor niggles. The plus points here: the screen accuracy, the level of detail, the paint applications, the accessories, everything else absolutely nailed on. The accessories on their own are worth some kind of award, from Slimer to the barricade to the traps and the wands and the proton packs and everything else, just absolutely beautifully done. It will be really, really interesting to see where Blitzway go with the 2.0 version of these figures. I can't wait to see them and get my hands on them and see how they compare. And it'd be nice to see them actually re-release the Ecto 1 as well. That is costing, the cost of a major organ on the aftermarket. So hopefully with the 2.0 versions, we'll see a 2.0 version of Ecto 1 as well. And if you've got space in your display, that makes one hell of an imposing setup. So there you have it, folks. It's a unmitigated Grail for Blitzway's 2017 take on the Ghostbusters. So what are your thoughts on these pieces? Have you got them in the collection? Are you thinking of picking up the 2.0 version? Are you going with the Star Ace version? Do you have Ecto 1? What are your thoughts on the movie? What are your thoughts on the characters? What are your thoughts on Blitzway? What are your thoughts on anything at all? Nothing is off menu, so please drop a comment in the comment section below. And what have we got coming up on the channel? Well, obviously, more episodes of Grail or Fail, more episodes of Don't Make Me Choose. We have a raft of new 1/6 scale action figures coming up for review from companies like Hot Toys, InArt, Pure Art, Susu Toys, Present Toys, Caustic Plastic, Exo6, the list goes on. We have retro reviews and showcases and quarter scale figures and statues and collectibles and just about anything you can think of. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon so you're not missing anything that's coming up on the channel. And I suppose all it remains for me to say, from the legend that is the Ghostbusters, take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.